Hello, welcome to Conversations in the Void. I'm your host, Joshua Von Ammon. Joining me today is Arthur Peña. Arthur received his bachelor's degree at the University of North Texas. He did his post-bac at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and went on to receive his master's degree at RISD. He's presently writing for New American Paintings and Curbs and Stoops. He's also teaching at the University of North Texas and Mountain View. And on February 8th, he'll be having a solo show, at Gallery. The title of the show is Paintings Are Objects and Possibly People. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks.
So I want to start off and just kind of talk about the show that's coming up.
Sure.
Kick us off.
New work. It's a continuation of this project that actually started my last semester at RISD. This project is kind of under the moniker of The Attempt.
Mm-hmm.
All the work that I've been making, at least in the past year, has all come under the title of Attempt 1 through currently Attempt 52. Some of them have extended titles, but for the most part, all of them have the Attempt title embedded in them. And it's something that's been a crutch, but it's also provided me with restraint.
Mm-hmm.
And this new show that's coming up on the 8th is Attempts 40 through 52. And it's a continuation of the work in general.
And why do you refer to it as a crutch, out of curiosity?
Well, I think it's something that I refer to as a crutch, that the idea of the attempt is something for me that lets me do whatever I want to do, because in the attempt, I think of it as something that's more than trying but less than doing. I think of the attempt as a state of suspended animation. It's more than but less than at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have described it before as a phone that's forever ringing.
Mm-hmm.
And in that state of kind of suspended animation, or at least I should say I don't go into any piece thinking that it's going to be a success or a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I just do.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that there's going to be another attempt after that, 53 or 54 or 110, really allows me the freedom to do whatever I want within the work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so caught up on
master plan.
Some sort of overall idea of where the work is going. If something comes up in one piece, whether it's a material, an object, or just some sort of idea that may embed itself in the work, instead of me figuring out if it's okay to do this or not, I just do it.
Right.
And then I do it with knowledge that there's going to be another one after that.
And you work in a large variety of, like, I suppose, different approaches to, like, visual art. I mean, from what I was familiar with when we did shows together, and things that I've seen, I saw, of course, your solo show at Oliver Francis Gallery. Was that the last solo show you had, or? That
was actually my first solo show I had at Oliver Francis, and that work was basically work that I showed at my thesis show at RISD, and got back, showed that work. And I think what you're talking about is the variations in materials that I use.
Well, right. I mean, you went from, printing photographs of actual... I guess I because when you showed me the image of that piece originally,
right.
I thought that I was looking at a stretcher bar and then, something that was stretched over it, but not completely. And then I come to realize it's a photograph of that with a stretcher bar laying over an actual stretched surface.
Right. You're talking about in the work for a beef and Angstrom.
Yes, right. That's right. And then, you also, jumping from that, you've got pieces that you were using bleach, right?
Sure, yeah. So what basically I'm very adamant about the fact that I'm a painter. And we were talking earlier that you recognize yourself as a portrait painter, and that's the discourse that you reside in. And what that does is that you recognize yourself as a portrait painter, and as a painter in general, and as well with me as a painter, that puts us in a very specific discourse in conversations with very specific people, and going against or going with specific mediums.
Certainly.
So I think that these attempts have allowed me to really expand upon and help define what my notions are of a painting. So, for example, with the show coming up on the 8th, the idea of the paintings are objects and possibly people is my way of pushing the work into many different discourses, but at the same time being very kind of nonchalant about it. But just, I don't know what painting necessarily is.
Certainly, yeah. And I mean, I like that. First of all, the title really struck a chord with me because I do a lot of that kind of, what is it? Paintings are objects? Paintings are objects and possibly people.
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
That's so cool. You know, but I mean, you know, I'm right in that vein with my work, you know. But, you know, anyway, I like it. I like your work, so I look forward
it's
to
the way it's been working is that I've tried to build up a language within my work. I've tried to use specific materials. I've tried to build a lexicon that I can pull from, of whether that is what you were referring to earlier as bleach, which was bleach sheets, which I slept in and then folded in a very specific way, then bleached for a certain amount of time. And that time was maybe tied to how long a movie is, how long it takes me to have dinner with a friend. And then from that, looking at that work, and really breaking down each piece to very specific moments. And I think really what it comes down to is slowing down, looking at what you did, dealing with that in some way, and trying to extract something from that. And it's gotten me to a point with this work for this coming up show where there's materials that I've used 10 paintings ago that are resurfacing, or processes that are used maybe 20 paintings ago that are resurfacing. So it's kind of this ongoing continuation of either materials or process, and in some cases certain concepts.
And sometimes that information is kind of held in the title, right?
It can be, but you know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. So all the new work, I don't have that extenuation of a title. For the work at Oliver Francis, specifically, I'm thinking of two pieces. There were bleach sheets that were painted with polyurethane. Those sheets were called The Good and the Bad, the Ugly, the Beginning, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, the End. That was because they were made while I was watching the movie from beginning to end, and then watch it again, and just this whole weird process that happens. But, you know, I think that's information that's interesting in some ways. But with this new work, I really started thinking about how I want to put the focus more on the object themselves. And I don't want to create a presupposed notion of what this painting object is for the viewer. I think that when I list the materials, because I'm very specific about the materials, stretcher, scorched pine, Pollock VHS tape, screws.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
And these ideas. So, you know, I think that in the medium, that's what happens. And then if I leave the attempt up there, kind of up for grabs, I think that it opens up a conversation beyond what I can put into a title. And I mean, I'm really just kind of shifting the title into the medium. And I think that opens up a whole other conversation of what the medium can do, and what my purpose is for picking what I make these paintings out of becomes, I think, heightened.
Certainly. Well, yeah, I really appreciate it. There's a lot of things, actually, that I didn't really realize. I didn't know previously the connection between these pieces being created and actual tasks that were going on intermittently, you know, like The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, you know, that's the movie in between. So that's really cool. We got to wrap it up. Okay. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Again, Re-Gallery, that is February 8th. We're going to have, that's a solo show. Hopefully you can make it. You can Google that. We'll also have links to it. So once again, thanks for being on the show, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Perfect.
Take care, man.
Thanks.
So enjoy our musical guest. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all later.
It makes you friends all over town, it warms you up, it calms you down, always good to have around our healthy pack of cigarettes. It gives a buzz, maybe a kinda high, but only if you haven't smoked in a while. It don't matter, you'll look alright, as long as you got your cigarettes. Cigarettes and alcohol, Lordy, we'll be having a ball. We'll be bouncing off the wall if we got cigarettes and alcohol. Times are tough for the smoking man. They tell you when to smoke and when you can't. You can't even smoke in a cigarette plant. Fire hazard, they're only cigarettes. Now nurses smoke and doctors too, and cowboys, engines, folks at the zoo. Sometimes there ain't much else to do but light yourself a cigarette. Cigarettes and alcohol, Lordy, we'll be having a ball. We'll be bouncing off the wall if we got cigarettes and alcohol. Can change. If you got yourself a boring life, maybe one filled with toil and strife, instead of finding yourself a wife, find yourself some alcohol. Talk about a life of friends and fun, and you won't sleep till you see the sun, unless you pass out, whichever one comes first because of alcohol. Cigarettes and alcohol, Lordy, we'll be having a ball. We'll be bouncing off the wall if we got cigarettes and alcohol. Now they also got rules about alcohol. Don't drink and drive, and if you fall, you've probably had too much, that's all. Tomorrow you can drink more alcohol. Of alcoholic drinks, there's a million kinds. Whiskey, tequila, beer, and wine. Whatever I got, I'll be doing fine, as long as I got my alcohol. Cigarettes and alcohol, Lordy, we'll be having a ball. We'll be bouncing off the wall if we got cigarettes and alcohol. Cigarettes and alcohol, cigarettes and alcohol.